A Rōnin isn't just a samurai without a boss. There's someone asking, "Who am I?" when the system that defined me is gone. Because in feudal Japan, your job wasn't just your job. It was your income, your legal status, your social worth, and your reason to exist. Lose your lord, and you didn't just lose employment. You lost permission. And most people don't know what to do when permission disappears. The word Rōnin literally means wave man, someone carried along by forces they don't control, not anchored, not protected, not officially welcome anywhere. They were inconvenient, suspicious, legally awkward, and often poor. A samurai with a lord had structure. A Rōnin had a sword, a reputation, and rent due. The code said loyalty unto death. In reality said, you still have to eat. When a lord fell, the proper response was often seppuku, ritual suicide, clean, final, socially approved, choosing to live instead. That was complicated. Living meant accepting shame, being watched, being judged, and being blamed for things you didn't cause, which is why Rōnin terrified authority. They were trained, armed, and no longer obedient. Nothing makes a ruling class nervous like skilled people who owe them nothing. In 1701, a lord named Asano was humiliated at court. After prolonged abuse, he snapped, drew his sword where he wasn't allowed, and was immediately ordered to commit seppuku. Fast, final. No appeal. His samurai were instantly dismissed. Just like that, 47 men lost their status, income, and future. And here's where the story gets interesting. Because they didn't rush, they didn't rage. They didn't charge the palace screaming about honor. They waited. For years. The Rōnin didn't just wait. They performed failure. And not the noble kind. They didn't wear black. They didn't brood on rooftops. They didn't sharpen swords in candlelight. They became embarrassing. One drank publicly, loudly, sloppily. Another took work so beneath his former rank it was humiliating. Some argued in the street like idiots. And one, the leader, did something especially brutal to his own reputation. He let himself be beaten in public. Not in a heroic way, not resisting, not fighting back. Just taking it. Because nothing convinces a watching authority faster than this thought. Ah, he's broken. And that's the key word, broken. Authoritarian systems don't fear anger. They fear competence with patience. Anger is loud. Anger burns out. Anger is easy to spot, but quiet people who look like they've given up, those get ignored. The Rōnin understood something brutal about power. Power watches threats. It does not watch disappointments. So they became disappointments. This wasn't strategy on paper. This was years of being despised. They were mocked by other samurai, ignored by former allies, looked down on by civilians who once bowed to them. People whispered if they were truly loyal, they'd have killed themselves already. They let those people believe that, because defending their honor publicly would have ruined everything, so they swallowed it. Every day. This is where the legend actually lives. Most revenge stories hinge on rage. This one hinges on self-control so extreme it looks like cowardice. Imagine knowing you are capable, you are right, you are waiting for justice, and still choosing to look small. That's not weakness. That's discipline weaponized inward. The slow, humiliating disappearance of relevance. And power hates that. Because power needs opposition to justify itself. Instead, it saw washed-up men falling apart, no longer worth monitoring, which is exactly when they became most dangerous. Here's the irony history doesn't say out loud. The Rōnin didn't win because they were stronger. They won because the system mistook dignity for pride. Dignity is patient. They waited until their lord's rival, Kira, felt secure in their defeat. By the time authority realized, the doors were already open and the guards were already dead. They broke into Kira's mansion, killed only him, spared his family and servants, took his head and laid it on Asano's grave. So when people talk about the 47 Rōnin as fearless warriors, they miss the hardest part. The hardest part wasn't the strike. It was waking up every day for years, being seen as a joke, and choosing silence anyway. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is let the world believe you no longer matter. Subscribe, because history doesn't belong to the loudest voice. It belongs to the ones who waited, watched, and chose carefully.